I should have known better than to fall asleep at my mother-in-law's house. That moment of weakness, that single stupid nap, cost me everything. The afternoon had been deceptively peaceful. Sunlight streamed through Cora's pretentious lace curtains, warming the overstuffed armchair I'd curled up in after lunch. My wedding ring caught the light as I drifted off, the sapphire gleaming like a promise. When I woke up, the ring was gone. "Oh, Wendy dear, are you sure you were wearing it?" Cora's voice dripped with false concern as I tore through cushions and crawled under furniture. "You know how scatterbrained you can be." My hands shook as I checked my pockets for the fourth time. The ring had been snug on my finger when I dozed off. I always twisted it when I was nervous, and God knows being around Cora made me nervous enough. 3 years of marriage to her precious Marcus, and she still treated me like an intruder. "I had it on, Cora. I know I did." My voice cracked. The ring wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It was Marcus's grandmother's sapphire, reset into a delicate platinum band. The one family heirloom Cora had grudgingly allowed him to give me. She clicked her tongue, straightening a crystal vase with mathematical precision. "Well, these old houses do have a way of swallowing things. Perhaps it's the curse." "What curse?" "Oh, didn't Marcus tell you?" Her smile was razor-thin. "His grandmother always said that ring brings misfortune to anyone who isn't truly meant to be part of this family." The room suddenly felt airless. I watched her arrange flowers with those perfectly manicured hands, the same hands that had probably slipped the ring off my finger while I slept. But I couldn't prove it. Just like I couldn't prove she'd accidentally destroyed my wedding photos, or misplaced the pearl earrings Marcus gave me for our first anniversary. "I need to call Marcus," I mumbled, fumbling for my phone. "Of course, dear, though he's in that important client meeting until 6. Cora's voice followed me into the hallway. "I'm sure he'll be just devastated. That ring meant so much to our family." Our family, not my family, never my family, according to Cora. Marcus answered on the fourth ring, his voice distracted. "Hey babe, everything okay?" "The ring is gone." The words came out in a rush. "I was at your mum's and I fell asleep for maybe 20 minutes and—" "Slow down," he cut in. "What do you mean, gone?" "Someone took it while I was sleeping. Your mother. Wendy." His sigh felt like a slap. "Mom would never do that. You probably just misplaced it. We'll look for it when I get home, okay?" "But Marcus, I've got to go. We're about to present. Try not to upset Mom over this, all right? You know how sensitive she is about family things." The call ended. I stood in Cora's perfect hallway, staring at my bare hand. 3 years of trying to prove myself worthy of her precious son, of swallowing her subtle jabs and helpful suggestions, of watching Marcus choose peace over truth every single time. "More tea, dear." Cora appeared with a fresh cup, sympathy and triumph warring in her eyes. "Don't worry too much about the ring. After all," she patted my cheek with cold fingers, "some things just aren't meant to be." I took the tea with numb hands, watching steam curl up like question marks. In the polished silver tray beneath the cup, I caught my reflection and something else. Through the doorway behind me, barely visible in the mirror's surface, I saw Cora's hand slip something into the pocket of her cardigan, something that glinted blue in the afternoon light. My heart stopped, then started again with a vengeance. For 3 years, I'd played the dutiful daughter-in-law, desperate for acceptance. I'd let her subtle cruelties slide, kept the peace for Marcus's sake. But watching her pocket my wedding ring, my ring, something inside me snapped. She thought she'd won. She thought I was weak. I lifted the teacup to my lips, tasting nothing but rage. "You're right, Cora," I said softly. "Some things aren't meant to be, like pretending we're one big happy family anymore." Her eyes narrowed slightly, but I was already turning away, my mind racing. She had no idea what she'd just started, no idea at all. I was done being the good daughter-in-law, done playing by her rules. It was time to make some rules of my own. The jewelry store's bell chimed mockingly as I pushed through the door. 3 days without my ring, and the bare spot on my finger still felt like an accusation. I'd torn Cora's house apart twice more while she was out, searching until my hands shook, but we both knew I wouldn't find it. She'd made sure of that. I need a replacement wedding ring, I told the jeweler, Brad, something that looks exactly like this. I pulled up a photo on my phone. Me and Marcus on our wedding day, the sapphire catching light as we cut the cake. Brad studied the image, his expression oddly intent. Family heirloom, wasn't it? I remember when Marcus brought it in for resizing. You know Marcus? I know the whole family. He glanced at the empty store before lowering his voice, including Cora. Something in his tone made me lean forward. The ring disappeared while I was at her house. Ah, just one syllable, but loaded with meaning. Not the first time something's vanished around Cora, is it? My chest tightened. What do you mean? Let's just say you're not the first daughter-in-law to lose something precious. He pulled out a small notepad, scribbling something. If you're interested in the real story, meet me at Carter's Cafe tomorrow at 2. There's someone you should talk to. The bell chimed again. I turned to see Marcus walking in, his smile faltering as he spotted me. Wendy? What are you doing here? I grabbed the note from Brad, shoving it into my pocket. Looking for a replacement ring, since you don't believe your mother took the original. Not this again. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his tell when he's stressed. Mom's been crying, you know. She can't believe you'd accuse her of theft. Of course she was crying. Cora's tears were weapons, precisely aimed. Did she mention she told me about some family curse? How the ring brings misfortune to people who don't belong? She was probably just telling you the family history. She stole it, Marcus. While I was sleeping, I saw her pocket something shiny right after— Enough! His shout echoed off the glass cases. God, Wendy, why do you have to make everything so difficult? Mom's not perfect, but she's family. Why can't you just try harder to get along? Try harder, like I hadn't spent 3 years shrinking myself to fit into Cora's narrow definition of worthy. Like I was the problem. You know what? You're right. My voice was steel. I should try harder. In fact, I turned to Brad, who'd been very interested in his inventory during our argument. I'd like to order an exact replica. Price is no object. Marcus's face softened with relief. See? That's better. We'll get you a new ring and everything can go back to normal. Normal. The word tasted like poison. I'll email you some options, Brad said, handing me his card. His eyes flicked meaningfully to my pocket, where his note lay hidden. Outside, Marcus touched my arm. I've got to get back to work. Thanks for being reasonable about this, babe. Mom will be so happy you're moving past it. I'm sure she would be. Happy to see me submit again, crawl back into my place like a good little daughter-in-law. Of course, I said, kissing his cheek. Tell your mother not to worry about a thing. I waited until his car disappeared around the corner before pulling out Brad's note. The handwriting was cramped but clear. Uriel's death wasn't an accident. Ask about the insurance policy. And the first Mrs. Marcus Sr. My hands trembled. Uriel, Marcus's father, had died before I met the family. Car accident, Cora had said. Tragic but simple. But nothing about Cora was simple, was it? I pulled out my phone and called the one person who'd tell me the truth. Tori, I need your help. Remember when you said your mom used to work at the insurance company that handled local claims? Any chance she could pull some old files? My best friend's silence spoke volumes. Wendy, what are you getting into? Something big, I said, watching my reflection in a store window. The woman staring back looked different somehow, harder. And I need to know how deep it goes. This isn't just about the ring anymore, is it? No. I touched my bare finger, thinking of Cora's smug smile, Marcus's willful blindness. It's about justice, and I'm going to get it, with or without my husband's help. The truth was out there, buried in old files and forgotten stories. And tomorrow, at 2 o'clock, I was going to start digging. Carter's Cafe smelled like burnt coffee and secrets. I fiddled with the cheap replacement ring I'd bought at the mall, a temporary shield against questions I wasn't ready to answer. The metal felt wrong, hollow, like everything else in my life lately. Brad was late. I checked my phone again, seeing another missed call from Marcus. He'd been hovering since our jewelry store confrontation, trying to smooth things over with forced cheerfulness and surprise takeout dinners, as if pad thai could make up for choosing his mother's lies over his wife's truth. Sorry I'm running behind. Brad slid into the booth across from me, followed by an elegant older woman with sharp eyes. This is Patricia. She was Marcus Sr.'s first wife. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. First wife? Patricia's smile was winter cold. Cora doesn't mention me much, I imagine. Bad for her perfect family narrative. She pulled out a worn envelope. But I've been waiting 25 years for someone to ask the right questions. My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were newspaper clippings, photographs, and what looked like photocopied insurance documents. Uriel's death was ruled an accident, Patricia said, tapping one of the articles. Single car crash on Ridge Road. But look at the insurance payout. The number made my eyes widen. That's enough to save the family business and set Cora up for life. Yes. Patricia's voice was steel wrapped in silk. And coincidentally, 3 months before the crash, Uriel changed his policy. Removed me as beneficiary, even though I was still legally his wife. Made Cora the sole recipient. But they weren't even married yet, I whispered. They were having an affair. I had proof, was ready to take him for everything in the divorce. Then suddenly, she spread her hands. Tragic accident, case closed, and 6 months later, Cora was the grieving widow, running everything. My phone buzzed. Marcus's face lit up the screen, but I couldn't deal with his willful blindness right now. Not with these revelations burning holes in my brain. Why are you showing me this? Because history repeats. Brad leaned forward. That ring you lost, it wasn't just any family heirloom. It was Patricia's original engagement ring, the one thing Cora couldn't legally take from her. And now it's disappeared, just like every other threat to Cora's control. I have to tell Marcus, I said, gathering the documents with trembling fingers. He needs to know. He won't believe you. Patricia's words stopped me cold. I tried telling him years ago. He was only 12 when his father died, and Cora, she's very good at managing narratives, especially with her son. The truth of it hit like a physical blow. Marcus, who couldn't even believe his mother would steal a ring, would never accept this. Then what am I supposed to do? Be smarter than I was? Patricia stood, straightening her immaculate blazer. Cora's having her annual charity gala next week. All the old family friends will be there. People who remember what really happened. People who might talk with the right encouragement. And the right evidence, Brad added meaningfully. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Tori. Found something major in Mom's old files. Call me ASAP. I looked up at Patricia, seeing my own pain reflected in her eyes. Did you ever get justice? No. She touched my cheap replacement ring gently. But maybe you can. For both of us. After they left, I sat staring at my cold coffee, mind racing. The gala was Cora's crown jewel, her yearly proof of perfect family leadership. The guest list would be full of people who knew her secrets, people who might have kept quiet out of fear or loyalty, but who might speak now if given the chance. My phone lit up with a text from Marcus. Mum wants us over for dinner tonight. Please come. She made your favorite pasta. Of course she did. Another performance of perfect mother-in-law concern, probably planning to suggest I was too careless to handle precious family heirlooms. I touched the envelope of evidence, thinking of Patricia's lost years, of all the lives Cora had carefully arranged to suit her narrative. Then I texted back, wouldn't miss it, time to give the performance of my life. Let Cora think she'd won, that I was properly cowed. Let her plan her perfect gala, invite all her carefully managed witnesses. I had a week to turn her showcase into a reckoning. And this time, I wouldn't be playing by her rules. Cora's pasta sauce filled the dining room with a sickly sweet aroma of manufactured perfection. I pushed strands of linguine around my plate, hyper-aware of my mother-in-law's predatory gaze. Not hungry, dear. Her concern could have fooled anyone who hadn't seen her true face. You seem distracted lately. Marcus mentioned you've been making odd appointments, running mysterious errands. My fork froze mid-twirl. I forced a smile, though my pulse hammered. Just busy with work and, dealing with the ring situation. Oh, that, she waved dismissively. I thought we'd moved past that unfortunate accusation. Marcus squeezed my knee under the table, a warning. Play nice. Actually, I said, setting down my fork, I wanted to ask about the gala. I'd love to help with the planning this year. The silence that followed was absolute. Even Chelsea, Marcus's sister, stopped mid-chew to stare at me. Cora recovered first, her smile tightening. How unexpected. You've never shown interest before. I know, but I've been thinking about what you said, about really becoming part of the family. The lies felt like glass in my mouth. I want to do better. Well, Cora dabbed her lips with a monogram napkin. I suppose you could help Chelsea with the place cards. Under supervision, of course. Chelsea brightened. We're working on them tomorrow morning. You should come over. Perfect. Access to the guest list, just like that. Speaking of family involvement, Cora continued, I've been meaning to ask, have you and Marcus discussed children yet? The family name needs carrying on, after all. My carefully constructed mask nearly slipped. Marcus stiffened beside me. Mum, we've talked about this, he said quietly. It's not the right time. It's never the right time with some people. Cora's eyes locked onto mine. Though I suppose it's for the best. Children do need stability. The implication hung in the air like poison gas. I gripped my water glass, remembering Patricia's words about Cora's talent for managing narratives. She was already laying groundwork, painting me as unstable, unfit. If I moved against her now, how would that story spread? I should check on dessert. Cora rose gracefully. Chelsea, help me in the kitchen. The moment they left, Marcus turned to me. Thank you for trying. Mom seems really impressed. I stared at him, this man I loved who couldn't, or wouldn't, see the daggers beneath his mother's smiles. Do you want children, Marcus? What? Where's this coming from? Just answer the question. He ran a hand through his hair. Eventually, yeah. But we agreed to wait. Focus on our careers first. No, I said softly. You agreed. After your mother spent 3 months making comments about my unstable background, my questionable family history. That's not fair. Mom's just protective. Of what? Her control. The words spilled out before I could stop them. Did you know about your father's first wife? His face went blank. Patricia, what does she have to do with anything? Have you ever wondered why she disappeared? Why nobody talks about her? She abandoned us. His voice hardened. Mum told me. Your mother tells you a lot of things. From the kitchen, Cora's laugh rang out like breaking crystal. Marcus's jaw clenched. Don't. His voice was low, warning. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're planning with all these secret meetings, just don't. Please. I looked at my husband, really looked at him. Saw the scared 12-year-old boy who'd lost his father and clung to his mother's version of reality like a life raft. How much would it destroy him to learn the truth? Dessert time. Chelsea bounced back in with plates of tiramisu. Wendy, come over early tomorrow. We can get coffee first, make a morning of it. I smiled, feeling Cora's watchful eyes from the doorway. Wouldn't miss it. Later that night, I sat in my home office, staring at Patricia's documents. My phone lit up with a text from Tori. You need to see these insurance records. Things aren't what they seem. Another text followed. Be careful. I think someone's been asking questions about your research. I touched my cheap replacement ring, thinking of Marcus's plea to let things be, of Cora's subtle threats about stability and family legacy. Then I opened my laptop and started typing. Dear Chelsea, looking forward to tomorrow. By the way, could you send me the gala guest list? I have some calligraphy ideas. The truth would hurt Marcus. It would shatter his world. But living this lie was already shattering mine. Chelsea's dining room table disappeared under a sea of cream-colored place cards. My sister-in-law hummed as she worked, her handwriting perfect and precise, just like everything else Cora had trained into her. "I still can't believe you volunteered to help," Chelsea said, passing me another stack of cards. "Mom was sure you'd quit after the first hour." I smiled, scanning the names as I arranged them. Judge Morrison, Dr. Phillips, the Harrises, all wealthy, all influential, all potential witnesses to Cora's past. "Guess I'm full of surprises." "Like that." Chelsea pointed to my replacement ring. "You got a new one so quickly. Didn't even make Mom feel bad about the original disappearing." My hand froze. "What do you mean?" "Oh, you know, Mom." Chelsea's voice dropped conspiratorially. "She has to test everyone. She did the same thing with my boyfriend last Christmas. Misplaced his grandfather's watch during his first overnight stay. Found it a week later, after he'd proved he could handle family pressure without cracking." The calligraphy pen slipped, bleeding ink across Senator Weber's name. "She does this often, only to people she's unsure about." Chelsea frowned at my ruined card. "I thought you knew. It's like an initiation thing. She'll give your ring back once you've shown you're committed to the family. That's why I was so impressed you didn't make a huge scene." My carefully constructed plan crumbled like wet paper. This wasn't just about me. How many others had Cora manipulated? How many more would she break? "Chelsea," I said carefully, "what do you remember about your dad's accident?" The humming stopped. "Why?" "Just wondering if you ever thought it was strange. The timing, the insurance." "Don't." Her voice sharpened to a point. "Mum said you might start asking questions. Said Patricia had poisoned you against the family." Ice slid down my spine. "You've talked to Patricia?" "Mum told me everything this morning. How Patricia's been stalking the family for years, spreading lies. How she's using you to get revenge." Chelsea's eyes filled with tears. "I thought you were really trying to be part of the family, but you're just... Chelsea, listen to me. Your mother is protecting us, like always." She stood abruptly, cards scattering. "I think you should go. The gala list will be handled by people we can trust." Her voice cracked. "I have to tell Mom about this, and Marcus. They need to know you're working with Patricia." "No, no, no, no. Chelsea, please. Get out." I drove home in a daze, mind racing. Cora had outmaneuvered me again, poisoning the well before I could even draw water. How many others had she warned? How many stories had she twisted? My phone buzzed. "Tori." I pulled over to answer. "Where are you?" She sounded breathless. "You need to get to my office, now." "I can't. Everything's falling apart." "The insurance records, Wendy. They're not what we thought. Uriel's death wasn't about the money. It was about covering something bigger. Something that ties directly to what's happening now." "What do you mean?" "Just come. And watch your back. Mom says someone accessed her files this morning. Someone with high-level clearance." I ended the call, hands shaking. Through the windshield, I spotted a familiar car parked across the street. The same one I'd seen outside Brad's shop yesterday. My phone lit up with texts. "Marcus. Chelsea just called. How could you?" "Chelsea. Mum's crying. I hope you're happy." Unknown number. "Back off now. Final warning." The walls were closing in. Soon Marcus would be home, demanding explanations. Cora would spin her web of lies tighter. And somewhere in Tori's files lay a truth that had people watching my every move. I thought of Chelsea's revelation about the ring test, about all the other lives Cora had casually broken and reformed to suit her needs, about Marcus, trapped in his mother's carefully constructed reality. My replacement ring caught the afternoon light, cheap and hollow, like everything in Cora's world. I turned the key in the ignition. Tori's office was 30 minutes away. Whatever truth waited in those files, it was time to face it. Because Cora hadn't just stolen my ring. She'd stolen years from Patricia, peace from Uriel, independence from her children. And she would keep stealing, keep breaking people, unless someone stopped her. I pulled into traffic, checking my mirrors for the familiar car. Let them follow. Let them report back. I was done playing Cora's game by Cora's rules. Time to change the game entirely. Tori's office building loomed dark against the sunset, most windows already black. My heels clicked through the empty lobby, each echo a reminder that I shouldn't be here after hours. But Tori had insisted. Safer this way, she'd said. Fewer eyes. The elevator dinged at the 4th floor. Through the glass walls of the insurance agency, I saw a single desk lamp burning. Tori hunched over her computer, face ghostly in the screen's glow. "Lock the door," she said without looking up. "The files are worse than we thought." I turned the deadbolt, then froze. On Tori's desk sat my sapphire ring. "Where did you get that?" She finally met my eyes. "Cora brought it in this morning, said she needed to discuss some old policies." Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Wendy. She knows we've been looking into Uriel's death." "What?" She had proof, photos of me accessing restricted files, recordings of phone calls. Said if I didn't help her, she'd have my mum charged with criminal breach of confidentiality. Mom could lose her license, face jail time. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. "So you're working for her now?" "No, I told her I would, but that's why I called you here." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "We have maybe an hour before she realizes I'm still in the office. Look at this." The screen filled with scanned documents, bank statements, property deeds, death certificates. My eyes caught on familiar names. Patricia, Uriel, Marcus Sr. Uriel was investigating financial irregularities before he died, Tori explained. Large transfers from the family accounts to offshore holdings, all authorized by Marcus Sr. "But Cora blamed Patricia for the missing money," I said. "Said that's why they divorced." "Patricia was the scapegoat, but look at the dates. The transfers continued after her divorce, after Uriel's death, and they're still happening." My head spun. "That's impossible. Marcus Sr. is dead." "Is he?" She pulled up a grainy photo, timestamp from 3 months ago. A man at a cafe in Buenos Aires, older but unmistakable from the family photos in Cora's house. The insurance payout, the remarriage, the whole grieving widow act, it was all a cover, Tori said. Uriel discovered the truth, so they eliminated him, made it look like an accident, and now history's repeating. The pieces clicked horribly into place. The ring, the accusations, isolating me from Marcus. She's setting me up like she did Patricia. "Wendy," Tori gripped my arm. "There's more. I found emails between Cora and Marcus from last week. About you." "No. Please no." She turned the screen. There was my husband's familiar email signature, his words like knives. "Mum's right. Wendy's becoming unstable, dangerous. The sooner we handle this, the better." The room tilted. All those late nights at the office, the sudden business trips, his desperate attempts to keep peace with his mother. He wasn't protecting me. He was helping plan my removal. "We need to call the police," Tori said. "With what proof? Cora's already discredited me to everyone who matters. She'll say I forged the documents, that I'm having a breakdown." My voice caught. Even Marcus would testify against me. "Then run, I'll help you." A door slammed somewhere in the building. Footsteps approached. "They're here," Tori whispered. "Cora must have followed you." "Delete everything," I hissed. "They can't know you showed me." "But do it. I won't let her destroy your family too." As Tori erased the files, I grabbed my ring from her desk. Not to wear, never again, but as proof. Of what? I wasn't sure yet. The footsteps grew closer, multiple sets. "Backstairs," Tori mouthed, pointing to a fire exit. "I'll stall them." I slipped through the door just as voices reached the office. Marcus's among them, concern masking steel. "Tori, have you seen my wife?" The stairwell was dark, emergency lights casting everything in sick green. I descended as quietly as possible, mind racing. I couldn't go home. Couldn't trust my friends. Cora would have poisoned them all against me by now. Couldn't even trust my own husband. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Patricia here. Heard you found the truth. Need somewhere safe? I've been preparing for this day for 20 years. I reached the ground floor, heart pounding. Through the exit door's window, I saw shadows moving in the lobby. They thought they had me trapped, cornered. Just another inconvenient woman to be erased from the family story. But they'd forgotten something crucial. I had nothing left to lose. I texted back one word. Where? The endgame was starting, and this time, I wouldn't be the one who disappeared. The annual charity gala sparkled with false perfection, just like its hostess. I adjusted my borrowed dress, Patricia's from happier days, and touched the USB drive hidden in my clutch. Amazing how something so small could hold enough truth to shatter an empire. Ready? Patricia squeezed my arm. After 3 days of hiding in her cabin, planning this moment, she'd become more than an ally. She was my mirror, showing what I'd become if I let Cora win. I nodded, watching guests stream into the hotel ballroom. Everyone who matters is here. The board members, the old family friends. The witnesses, Patricia finished. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. Time to give them something to really talk about. We separated at the entrance. The plan was simple. Patricia would handle the technical setup while I kept Cora distracted. One wrong move, and we'd both disappear, this time permanently. Cora spotted me immediately. Her perfect mask slipped for just a moment, showing genuine shock before recovering. Wendy, darling, her voice carried across the room, drawing all eyes to us. We've been so worried. Marcus has been absolutely frantic. Has he? I moved closer, noting how she subtly backed away. Strange, since he helped drive me away. You're not well, dear. We all see that now. Her concern was precision-engineered to draw sympathy from our growing audience. Why don't we step somewhere private? Talk about getting you help. No more private conversations, Cora. No more tests or disappearing rings or convenient accidents. I pulled out her precious sapphire ring. Looking for this? Her eyes narrowed. Behind her, I saw Marcus pushing through the crowd, face pale. Wendy, stop. His voice shook. Please. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? Or am I finally seeing clearly? I turned to address the watching crowd. Did you all know about Marcus Sr.? That he's alive and well in Buenos Aires? A ripple of murmurs. Cora's smile turned glacial. Security, please. My disturbed daughter-in-law needs... The lights died. The massive screen behind the stage flickered to life, showing bank statements, emails, surveillance photos. Patricia's timing was perfect. That's Marcus Sr. last month, I announced as the Buenos Aires cafe photo appeared. Very alive for someone who supposedly died 20 years ago. Right, Cora? Lies, she hissed. Obvious forgeries from a sick... The money transfers are still happening, I continued. Same offshore accounts, same pattern Uriel discovered before his convenient accident. Would anyone like to see Cora's emails planning my own convenient accident? Enough. Marcus grabbed my arm. Mom, call the police. I yanked away. Did you even read the emails she sent you? Or did you just agree blindly, like always? Handle this like we handled Patricia. That's what she wrote. Did you know what that meant? His grip loosened. What? Show him, Patricia's voice rang out. She emerged from the AV booth, remote in hand. Show your son what his mother really is. The screen filled with security footage from 20 years ago. Cora and Marcus Sr. arguing with Uriel in his office. The timestamp matched the night of his accident. Turn it off, Cora commanded, but her voice had lost its power. The crowd watched in horror as the scene played out. As Uriel threatened to expose the fraud. As Cora smiled and offered him one last drink. That's not... Marcus staggered back. Mom? Everything I did was for you, Cora said. To protect our family's legacy. Patricia would have destroyed us. Uriel would have ruined everything. And now your wife... She turned to me, mask finally cracking. You ungrateful little snake. I gave you everything. You gave me tests and lies. You tried to erase me just like you erased them. And I'll do it again, she snarled, lunging for my throat. Several things happened at once. Marcus shouted. Patricia's heel caught Cora's ankle. And I, finally, fought back. We hit the ground hard, my sapphire ring flying from my clutch. It rolled across the floor, coming to rest at Chelsea's feet. The silence was deafening. Chelsea picked up the ring, looking between it and her mother with new eyes. Understanding bloomed across her face. Every test, every manipulation, every careful lie suddenly clear. "Security's not coming," she said quietly. "I called the police instead. The real police. They're already talking to Brad about Dad's accident." Cora's face crumpled, not from guilt or shame, but from the ultimate betrayal. Her perfect daughter, her trained ally, choosing truth over family loyalty. "Chelsea," she breathed. "No, Mom." Chelsea helped me up, pressing the ring into my palm. No more tests, no more lies. As police sirens wailed in the distance, I looked at my husband. Marcus stood frozen, years of carefully constructed reality shattering around him. "I'm sorry," I whispered, meaning it. He nodded slowly, looking at his mother with stranger's eyes. The sapphire caught the light, no longer a symbol of belonging, but of survival, of truth finally, brutally set free. The police station coffee tasted like burnt regrets. I sat in the harsh fluorescent light, watching through one-way glass as Cora's perfect mask finally cracked completely. Her carefully styled hair had come undone, her designer dress wrinkled from hours of questioning. She looked smaller somehow, more human. "She's confessing to everything," Detective Rivera said. "The fraud, Uriel's murder, even the attempted hit and run that made Patricia leave town. 20 years of secrets spilling out." I touched my throat where bruises were forming. "And Marcus Sr.? Interpol picked him up an hour ago. He's not as loyal to your mother-in-law as she thought." "Of course not. Loyalty was something Cora demanded, never gave." The door opened. Marcus stood there, looking lost in clothes that had once fit perfectly. "Can we talk?" I followed him to a quiet corner, neither of us quite meeting the other's eyes. The sapphire ring felt heavy in my pocket, no longer a test of belonging, but a reminder of what we'd lost. "I keep thinking about all the signs," he said finally. "The missing jewelry, the convenient accidents, the way she'd twist everything until I couldn't trust my own memories. How did I not see it?" "Because she made sure you couldn't. She built your whole world, brick by brick, and you tore it down." His voice cracked. "Thank you, and I'm sorry." I pulled out the ring, studying how it caught the harsh light. "Did you know about what she was planning for me?" "No, yes, I don't know." He ran a hand through his hair, that familiar nervous gesture now painful to watch. "She said you were unstable, that you needed help. I thought I was protecting you. By helping her isolate me, gaslight me, I was wrong." His eyes filled with tears. "So wrong. But I can fix this. We can start over, rebuild." "No." The word came out gentle but firm. "We can't. Wendy, please, I love you. But you don't trust me. You never have, not really. Every time I came to you about your mother, every time I needed you to choose truth over comfort, you chose her version of reality. That's not fair. She's my mother, and I'm your wife. Was your wife." I pressed the ring into his palm, closing his fingers around it. "Give this to someone you'll believe in." Chelsea appeared in the doorway, eyes red but steady. "They need you both. More statements about the gala." I nodded, stepping away from Marcus, but Chelsea caught my arm. "Wait, there's something else you should know." She glanced at her brother. "Something Mum said during questioning. About Dad, our real dad." Marcus went still. "What about him? He's alive too, in witness protection. He didn't die in that crash. He faked it to escape Mom and Marcus Sr. He's been trying to contact us for years, but Mom intercepted everything." The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. All those carefully maintained stories, the manufactured grief, the lessons about family loyalty, built on nothing but lies. Marcus stumbled back like he'd been struck. I can't. I need some air. We watched him leave, this man who'd lost every certainty in a single night. Will you be okay? I asked Chelsea. Eventually, Patricia's helping me arrange a meeting with Dad. Real Dad. She squeezed my hand. What about you? Through the window, I could see Tori waiting by her car, ready to drive me to my new apartment. Patricia stood with her, these two women who'd helped me find truth and strength when I needed it most. I will be, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. Chelsea hugged me fierce and quick. Thank you, for being braver than we were. I walked outside into dawn's grey light. The air smelled like rain and possibility. Behind me, the police station held Cora and her crumbling empire of lies. Ahead, uncertainty waited, but it was honest uncertainty, built on truth instead of tests. My finger felt naked without the ring, but lighter somehow. Like I could finally reach for things without checking for approval first. Ready? Tori called. I looked back one last time. Through the window, I saw Marcus watching me, still holding that sapphire ring. Still caught between truth and comfort, reality and illusion. But his choices weren't mine anymore. Ready, I said, stepping forward into my own unwritten story. Some things, after all, were always meant to be broken, including the chains we mistake for love,